Good morning. Barclays no longer sees the ECB cutting rates in September. Germany import prices fall for third month.
The U.S. dollar is mixed to kickstart the day after the Fed and BOJ.
Euro-US dollar consolidates losses following German CPI, with U.S. PCE inflation on tap.
FTSE 100 modestly higher. Rolls-Royce Holdings Rent-to-Kill shares soar. Gold firms near $3,300 as trade woes resurface ahead of August 1st tariff deadline. Germany annual CPI inflation holds steady at 2% in July versus 1.9% expected.
Investing live European markets wrap. Yen falls on weight oppressor. U.S. futures keep higher.
South Africa trade balance in rands rose from previous 21.67B to 22.04B in June. Germany Consumer Price Index, year over year, above forecasts 1.9% in July. Actual, 2%. Oil prices ease as market weighs Trump tariff threats and U.S. stock build.
Bada bing, bada boom. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Forex.Today, the YouTube community of more than 21,000 foreign exchange traders. Let's go. All right, you're saying bad Mike. I know we made some adjustments during the live stream yesterday, but anyways, let me remind you that trading's risky, not appropriate for everyone. Past performance, good or bad, not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term. Never risk money you cannot afford to lose. All right, I see what you're saying. All right, so we made this adjustment yesterday, so this is probably better. By probably, certainly. In sooth, I know not why I am so sad. All right, so we're just a couple of minutes away from the PCE, which is derived from GDP. So we take out, so you have the consumption expenditures, which comes out of the C of the C plus I plus G plus X minus M equals Y. Markets are mixed right now, but we'll open in about an hour. Coolio. So this is just where we stand. 10-year T-note, 3.8. Oil, 69.5. Gold, 33.58. S&P 500 down slightly. Dollar flat. And Bitcoin up a little bit. But no risk on. No risk off. Market is currently neutral. Biggest loser right now is copper. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's get a headline news update. Barclays no longer sees the ECB cutting rates in September. Germany import prices fall for third month.
The U.S. dollar is mixed to kickstart the day after the Fed and BOJ. Oil prices ease as market weighs Trump tariff threats and U.S. stock build.
Euro-U.S. dollar consolidates losses following German CPI, with U.S. PCE inflation on tap.
FTSE 100 modestly
56
higher.
seconds.
Rolls-Royce Holdings rent-to-kill shares soar. Gold firms near $3,300 as trade woes resurface ahead of August 1st tariff deadline. Germany annual CPI inflation holds steady at 2% in July versus 1.9% expected.
Investing live European markets wrap. Yen falls on weight oppressor. U.S. futures keep higher.
South Africa trade balance in rands rose from previous 21.67B to 22.04B in June.
20 seconds. Well, now 20 seconds. So spending, income, all of this is important. I'm going to call out core, but it's really non-core that I care about. All right, get ready. Get ready. 2.7, 2.7, 2.8. It's up higher. Oh, core is up higher. Let's see, month over month. Higher. on income. Month over month for core, 0.3, as consensus, but higher than last month. Spending is up, not as much, but is definitely up. Claims 218, okay, coming out less, which is a beat. 4-week average, 221. Dude, it's like no reason to cut to save the economy. That's faux show. All right. All this good news is bad. Yeah. So let's kind of just zip around here. I'm just going to put it on the short-term indices. Now, if you want a new hack, you guys want a hack? Based around NewsVol, you can drop this into like 1-minute charts or 5-minute charts. Let's just go extreme. It might be too extreme. It's extremely extreme, Wayne. And then you can see the change in valuation relative to the news events that just occurred. It's one way to play this. So it might help you find your scalp if you're going to do that. Okay. So Swissy is strong. Big recovery on euro. Pound is weakening. Aussie is weakening. Dollar's trying to figure it out. Add a little more time on that one. Okay. Okay. Yen is weak. You remember why? I think it says here, right? Ueda? Or was that earlier today? It's already rolled off. Yeah, so anyways, because of the BOJ meeting yesterday. Right. So anyways, it was on the headline, but it's already rolled off because we have so much news. It's cool to have a news squawk, right? They usually cost money. Actually, it cost me money. What's it cost me now? Now that the development is done, I think it cost me about $1,000 a month. Yeah. So, anyways, oh, look at the yen weekend. Oh my god! Oh my god! So you can do things like yen, yen. Look at this, right off the buy zone. Oh my god! Double bottom, higher, high, higher, low, gone. Yeah, well, this is all around the Bank of Japan's meeting yesterday. And, well, this is not a yen pair. I guess we will just put it back. Must have been monkeying with it at some point. The beast. Breaking U.S. core PCE inflation holds steady at 2.8% in June versus 2.7% expected.
U.S. initial jobless claims 218K versus 224K estimate. Canada gross domestic product, MOM, in line with expectations, 0.1% in May.
United States core personal consumption expenditures, price index MOM, meets forecasts, 0.3% in June.
Canada GDP for May, 0.1% versus 0.1% expected. United States personal consumption expenditures, price index MOM, in line with expectations, 0.3% in June.
United States Employment Cost Index above expectations, 0.8% in 2Q, actual 0%. See, I can work and talk at the same time. Crazy, huh? Well, Don, if you've been paying attention to my opinion all year, September's not going to happen. October's not going to happen. Maybe December. Maybe. But anyways, yeah, look at that. It's a logical price. If you're going to sell, 199 is your number. If you're a bear. See, like think of it as like if then statements. If you're a bear, this is your number. If you're a bull, this is your number. There is nothing else. Okay, going back to before, if you're a bear, this was your number here. This is where bears are supposed to sell. And this is where bulls are supposed to buy. So everybody's doing their job. Everything is right as rain. Okay? Now you can be wrong, but you should know it if you're a bull or a bear. And so this is where bulls buy. This is where bears sell. And you should know that. If you don't, you just discovered something very, very, very important that you need to learn. Cool. So this is based on implied volatility, right? Well, Theta, did you attend the January meeting where I outlined that in great detail? Quite literally, interest rates versus tariffs. So that has, so like you're saying, so now it's Fed versus Trump till the end of the year. Well, no, it's been that from the beginning. And we have historic data that I used to share. But anyways, that's what the bullish plan is. So back here, that's the bullish plan. Back here, this is the bullish plan. So one thing that you could do is say, well, we never got to the July target. So maybe that's what happens now. Okay. And then, okay. I'm good with that. Okay. How did I do Harvard while trading full time and raising a family? I did things like have 10 or 12 people over for Thanksgiving, family. And while everyone is talking and eating, I would be in my home office writing a paper. Several times, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 times, I would send my wife and kids out on holidays to go to the beach for a week. And I'd stay home and work on paper and projects. So for 5 years, I had no weekends. I had no holidays. And then the entire summer, I moved to Harvard and lived in the dorms and worked, and this is not an exaggeration, 20 hours a day. In fact, those 4 summers I spent at Harvard
Breaking. U.S. core PCE inflation
was
stays
interesting
unchanged.
because when you go to summer school, you're only allowed to take one class. My cohort, and it dwindled down to like 10 people, because the other 10 couldn't hack it and they quit. So now we're down to 10. And I'll tell you how hard it was. There were, I'm going to guess, 5,000 students at Harvard time, at Harvard summer school. 5,000, I'm guessing, I have no idea, but thousands. They're all taking one class, and they find it incredibly difficult. The 10 of us were taking 2 classes every summer, and no one's ever done that before. It's twice the work, and it's impossible. So to do it, I had to work 20 hours a day. And after 4 years, I think I got an A in all classes, I think, out of summer school except one. And it's only because I insulted the professor. And he screwed me over. Like, no joke. But yeah, that's how. 20 hours a day. Yeah. No weekends, no holidays, no summers. It was tough. It was brutal, bro. Brutal. Well, it was insane. And the thing is, and I like this about working with, was it worth it? Oh my God, yes. Holy crap. For sure. Um, but like the cool thing about working with like A-level people, if you follow the ABCD personality type, whatever, um, or we'll just call them A+ people, right? It's like you feel like you're awesome. So I remember, like, and this is why you want to work with good people. I remember thinking like, okay, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I need to go home and get some sleep, and then get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is about 2.5 hours before class, to get ready for class. And I think I feel like I'm kick ass, right? So, but I'm dressed nice and casual and everything, and I'm on my way to Starbucks, get a coffee, and I'm thinking, look at me, I'm a kick ass guy, man. And then I get there, and one of my guys in my cohort is an investment banker. Well, yeah, we'll call him an investment banker, and he's dressed all nice because he already had morning meetings with the bank, and he's on the phone doing a performance review for the bank, which you have to do twice a year. But he's also, just like me, been writing papers and doing research and studying for exams, and so he got up an hour before me and did more work than me. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, you're crazy, right? And I'm like, I'm falling behind. This guy is winning, right? Johnny's winning. And then I bump into another guy, Dathan, and I'm like, how's your paper coming along? And he's like, oh, I finished that like 3 days ago. I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's due today. He's like, yeah, I'm working on the next paper. I'm like, holy schnicker. You, you're like 2 days ahead of me. And all of a sudden, I'm put in my place. And I'm learning from the guys in my cohort. They're like, oh, you wrote a good paper today and you're going to turn it in?
US dollar yen approaches.
You're behind. You're behind. You're like, dude, we're ahead of you. And I'm like, snap. I got to up my game. And that's what Harvard was like. Yeah, no, seriously, but Don, that's why you do it. Or like, so I spent the last 4 days doing a board meeting in Chicago, and you know, I the whole time I'm there, I realize that there are people in the room on the board, and I'm a confident dude, right? So when you get there, at what it'll tell you is I need I like hanging out with these people because it reminds me I can do more. I can try harder. I can be better. I should be better. You see? That's why you do stuff like work on boards or go to grad school or like studying at Oxford, doing the algorithmic trading program. We're analyzing the investing market, right? So we're looking at different ways to invest into the stock market, the commodities market, the Forex market, so on and so forth. And we're doing it algorithmically. And instead of talking to other traders like myself that look at a chart and analyze fundamentals, they're doing stuff off the chart and off the fundamentals. They're doing everything algorithmically, and they're not traders and investors, they're astrophysicists. And what they're doing in their form of trading and investing is from another world. You've never seen anything like what they're doing. And when you ask them, you're like, so why? Like this amazing maze of math. Like, just imagine it's nothing but the matrix and all this stuff is raining. All this data is just raining. And to you, it just looks like colors, not a chart, just colors. And they're like, buy wheat today, sell corn today. And I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, we looked at 100 billion variables and that's what it says. Right. And so once again, you're awakened to the fact that there are people that we're competing with that don't do anything like what we do. Doesn't make them right and us wrong because they don't even know why. And half the time, since it's automated, they don't even know what they're doing. They're like, well, we made 10,000 trades today. I'm like, wait, what? You made 10,000 trades today? You're like, yeah, it's below average. What? But it's interesting to spend weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks with astrophysicists that are teaching computers to trade the market. And then my job was to analyze and critique. And that's all my final exam was they gave me, was it 2 hedge funds? I guess 2 hedge funds. They gave me the performance. Would you invest and why? In the first one. Would you invest in the second one? Yes, no, and why? That's all it was. Yeah, honesty. That really truly is like when you hear about like the secret to success for like companies that have made it big, you're like, it's all the people. Yeah. So in fact, so 20 years ago, I started something called the FX Boot Camp. Most of you know me from FX Boot Camp. Then it evolved a few years ago into Investor Boot Camp, and now it's traders.com. But so for 20 years, I ran FX Boot Camp. Well, the genesis of that was I had quit my job as a venture capitalist. I started trading out of my home office, and everything was going great for a period of time, and then I went through a rough patch. where I had quit my job and I'm losing money. I'm working, huge hours. And, like, how do you feel after working 12 or 18 hours and lost money? You're like, all of a sudden my mind started going negative where I'm like, my God, I could have just worked at Starbucks and have
Pi Network
made
Price
more
Forecast.
money
PI extends the bearish
than what
trend,
I'm doing
targeting
here,
all-time low levels.
right? I could just be making minimum wage and I'd be better off. And I gave up my VC job and I loved my VC job. I gave up benefits. I gave up, like, oh my God, So I realized I ran into sort of a negative vibe, if you will. Negative, and that's not good. Once you lose confidence, it's really hard to recover. So I said, okay, I need to do a business planning retreat because I realized I really didn't know what I was doing. I knew how to trade, but I didn't know what I was doing. What's the plan? What's the goal? What's the objective? What's the strategy business wise? How much risk? How much reward? What's the target? Like, all of a sudden, like, you can't just sit down and do the best you can every day. That's not a plan. So I went on a business planning retreat with myself and I took it very, very seriously. I did a board meeting and I invited outside people, like friends that were attorneys and stuff of mine. I'm like, I need you to attend my board meeting. I wrote business plans. I wrote a 3-year pro forma cash flow statement, and I spent a lot of time planning mission statements, operational direction statements, and then KPIs. And so what came from this? I realized in the past I had found success because I surrounded myself with like-minded people, like going to Harvard, like being on boards. You got to surround yourself with like-minded, driven, focused people. And I was just trading out of my home office by myself, and I didn't have a plan. So I'm like, well, I created the cash flow, which took me days and days. In fact, it took me a couple of weeks, but I got this down and I knew exactly what I needed to do to hit my goals. And I realized from that I'm way over leveraged. So that was one thing that stopped right away. I reduced my leverage. But I also realized not just the cash flow side, but the people side. I'm like, okay, I've been successful before. I mean, I ran companies of 3,000 people. And then after that, then I grew a company from like 3 people to 500 people, I'm guessing, and offices in multiple cities. Like, I had found success. And then I was a venture capitalist. Like, I wasn't starting from scratch. So I'm like, well, how did I find success in all these other circumstances? Surrounding myself with like-minded people. So then I said, well, how? I don't know any Forex traders. You have to go back 20 years. There was no YouTube yet. There was no Amazon.com. Like, there was nothing. So I'm like, how do I surround myself with driven people focused on Forex? And I'm like, I need to start a community. I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? Well, what if I just shared everything I had learned? Since there's no books about Forex trading and there's very few retail trading at all, right? Like, well, I spent years at it already. What if I just shared that? And then back in the day, I did an event with Kawasaki. George Kawasaki? Anyways, Kawasaki, called Boot Camp for Startups. And I'm like, ooh, that's so good. And I remembered that. I'm like, one day I'm going to do a boot camp company. So here I was. I'm like, okay, I want to surround myself with successful people that are driven and focused on Forex. So what am I going to do? I need to start a community. What's the purpose? To share everything I've ever learned open and honestly, just give away the secret sauce. The upside is I'm surrounded by successful, driven people. They keep me focused. They keep me sharp. They keep me wanting to, not just wanting, needing to improve. I got to get better and better and better and better. And when you trade on your own, you stagnate. So when you're with a community, you grow. That's what collaboration does, and competition, right? So I'm like, cool. So I'll start a boot camp thing. Forex boot camp was too long. So FX boot camp. Okay, I'm going to start FX boot camp. Boom. And that was more than 20 years ago. And the whole idea is I can't sleep in. I can't miss an event. I can't keep doing what I've been doing without the desire to learn more, so on and so forth. It's the community that brings the success, not the individuality. Because what you'll find is your individuality will find success for a certain point, and then you'll fizzle out. And you go back to mediocrity. But with a community, you always see different points of view, and it makes you stronger. Okay? Okay? You see? What happened to sipping mojitos and trading on the beach once you make? Well, I actually do that. I did that just recently. No, I'm not going to say I made millions, but no, like, think of it this way, Don. For decades, as long as I can remember, yeah, as long as I remember as a trader. So yeah, for the last 20 years, wherever I go, I bring my trading with. So I'll give you another example. So my children, let's say at the time, I'm guessing were 8 or 10 years old, and we get some sort of villa or whatever you call it in Disney World, and we're going to take them to Disney. And it's like a 2-bedroom apartment kind of thing. There, living room and kitchen and 2 different bedrooms and all that. Okay, great, 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 great. So the plan is to get up in the morning and get the kids to the gate as it opens at, I don't know, at 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that, right? And spend the whole day with their children. Great. There's one problem. Well, the market's open at 6 a.m. Well, for me, 6 a.m., right? Like, not meaning my time zone, but Forex, best time to trade is between 6 and 8. Plus, I have my community that I work for, right? So there's FX Bootcamp, right? Where we have our morning live stream to prepare for the day. So what I did in this example was I opened up one of the closets in the master bedroom and removed all the coat hangers and all that kind of stuff and grabbed a desk from a different part of the apartment, and I moved it and shoved it into basically using the closet as a cubby. So it was just like a tiny little mini office, but the doors, you're inside, it's a little darker, a little more focused, right? And I set up my external monitors. So I brought my laptop, but I bought some external monitors, and there I am in this villa in Disney World. And inside this closet is a desk with 3 screens, 4 screens, 4 screens. Now, is that normal behavior? No. My children have had a dad like that for their whole entire life. So, mom and dad, mom and the kids go to Disney first. I stay back and I trade and I coach. I trade and I coach. And then it gets to, now it's, 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever. The kids are already done one ride. And then I just, jump in a car or wherever it was and zip over there and get to the gate and walk in and I meet them. Okay. Yeah. So I do that. So I was just in Chicago. Check this out. I was just in Chicago for days. Oh, you know what this is? Anybody? You know what that is? Those are my 3 high-resolution monitors. They're 4K monitors that I've turned down to 1080p because it's still too small. And there it is. So when I look at that, it's bigger than you can see now. It's this big. So I have to turn my head to see my screens because they're so huge. And so I take that in a laptop. Yeah. Okay. It's the only one that I know that instead of just displaying one big screen, it actually displays 3 different monitors. So on my laptop has 2 screens. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, so I got a funny laptop. So when I turn my laptop on and I go to the monitor settings, it shows a normal screen and then a small screen on the keyboard, which is great for running like the Squawk Box or running CNBC or Bloomberg or something. It's great down there. And then on the main screen. Okay, great. But when I plug the glasses in, then it shows 5 screens. The 3 new ones, they're actual screens. Okay, they're actual screens according to the laptop. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the whole package is £2, probably closer to 2.5 pounds. So anyways. Cool, right? Yeah, so that's how it is to be a trader, in my opinion. But so like what happened to the sitting on the beach and making millions? Well, I was the closest thing or the most recent thing is I was in St. Martin, sitting on the beach with a cocktail. The sun was setting. It was a Sunday. I left my wife and kids. They were in either the pool or maybe we had just finished dinner and maybe they were back in the room. But I grabbed my laptop. Okay. I'm in my Vibiliqueen swim trunks and I got a nice shirt on and I walked to the beach. I got a cocktail. I'm sitting in the sand, flip-flops off, toes in the sand. And guess what I'm doing? I'm trading the Asia Open. Okay. The next day, my account was up 10%. Not my trade, my entire account. So how do you like them apples, Don? Literally, bada bing, bada boom. Bought it at I think it was an annual pivot point. It was a Dow trade. And it moved way faster than I had planned, but it happened from the beach, watching the sunset into the ocean. No, well, the thing is, it wasn't the fact that it was Asia, or it wasn't the fact that I made a big trade. It was the fact that I had planned months in advance for the stock market to drop very significantly, whether it's 8% or 15%, one never knows. But I grabbed my laptop in preparation for this event. I brought it to the beach, not that day, but I brought it to the Caribbean because I'm like, well, I don't want to miss the move I've been planning for months. And things set up on the Friday as a perfect storm. Cool. So it was like I had to plan on, I had to bring all my equipment and then carry it around through airport security and all this crap. And finally you get there and great. And then you have to schedule your day. Well, I got to be back for the market open. So we get back and everything. And okay, wife and kids, I'm going to leave you now. You're going to sit here or go do that without me. I'm going to go sit on the beach and I'm going to trade the market open because it's going to possibly provide a huge opportunity. I mean, like I'm days or weeks in advance with the preparation. So then I finally, market's opening in a half an hour. So I grab my stuff and I leave the room and I walk down to the beach. Oh, gonna need a cocktail. Get the cocktail. Find which chair to sit on and all that kind of stuff, right? And then you sit down, put your feet in the sand, open up your laptop. Nobody has a laptop on the beach. Certainly only one. Fire it up, open up my charts, and then wait. And then, boom! Massive gap down. I'm like, holy schnicker-schnucker. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. And I think it was the Dow came all the way down, touched the support one annual pivot point, and I went, buy. Place to stop. And then what? Close the laptop. Done. Woke up the next morning. Holy smokes! It came all the way back. Holy smokes, and filled that gap. Yeah. Was it millions? I'm not going to tell you it was millions. The thing is, it doesn't matter if it's $50 or 50 million. Dude, the fact that you got your sand and your toes in the sand, waiting for a trade you spent weeks and months setting up, taking the time of preparation to be ready for all of that, then open it up and bang. It's like your first day in baseball and you're called up for a bases loaded, bottom of the ninth scenario. The score's tied, 2 out. This is either going to extra innings, but if you can just get on first, you're going to win the game. And not only do you get on first, you hit a grand slam on your first day. first at bat. You know, just like, yeah, baby. But you know what? I'll tell you the truth. All of that is BS anyways. Don't get caught up in nonsense like that. Now, it all happened. It is the truth. But what I mean is the secret to success is not that I hit a grand slam while sitting on the beach making bang. You know what it is? For decades, never turning your back on the market. The sacrifice it takes to bring your laptop to all your family vacations. To tell your 8-year-old you're not going to be there when they meet Mickey Mouse. Now, that's not true because I paid $1,000 to meet Mickey Mouse. So I was there. But the idea is like, you got to go ahead because daddy has to trade. You got to go ahead. Hubby has to trade. Go do that without me. Go on vacation without me. Go to the event without me. I have to stay. I have to trade. I have to be there for the community. I have to stay sharp. I knew a lot about economics before going to Harvard. I went to Harvard for the hope of learning something new because I'm trying to be as competitive as I can with the rest of the Forex market. So if I have a master's degree in financial management and a bachelor's degree in macroeconomics, both from Harvard, and I studied at MIT postgraduate and Harvard Business School postgraduate and Oxford postgraduate, does that make me competitive as a trader? Probably. As a potential investor, will it help people decide whether they should invest into me or my fund? Is it me investing in myself? It's like it's a win-win, win-win, win-win. The thing is, I have to keep getting better. And I have to keep sacrificing. So I just described actually to our group, we met with traders, traders.com earlier this morning. I've made arrangements with my wife and kids that Friday after non-farm payrolls, tomorrow after NFP, I am going to lock myself in the basement for the entire weekend. My wife is setting up, and this is not a joke, a sleeping cot designed for camping in our movie theater because it's dark and it's cold in our movie theater. And it's got a huge open space in the front, and then there's rows of chairs, right? So we have this space. So we're going to set up a room there, and she will bring food down for me. I have coffee, I have energy drinks, I have cigars, and I am going to work on the curriculum for summer school that we're going to start in 2 weeks. I'm going to work all Friday, and I mean to midnight or more. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to work all Saturday, and around between 2 and 4, I'm going to swim in the pool. And then I'm going to get back to like cray focused and work all Saturday night. I'm going to wake up early, more coffee, more cigars, more laptop. I'm going to continue working on summer school. And then at 7 p.m. on Sunday, I'm going to meet with the TRADARS group and download and review every major central bank report for the entire week. Okay? And then next week on Monday, we're going to do the Council of Investment Advisors. And on Wednesday, I'm going to do the update to the annual outlook. You see? Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, I think, Jordan, you're right. I think you have a Harvard degree too. Yeah. You see what I mean? And so what is that all about? Well, that's me continuing to try to perform more. Right, Osamu? Get that Q3 outlook done. Yeah. But I have a few gray hairs. I have a few experiences in life, and I feel like I'm behind. Why? Because I surround myself with driven, focused, like-minded people that are, you know, demand A game all day, every day, and remind me that I'm pushing mediocrity unless I'm doing stuff like that. You see? Yeah, that's hardcore, right? But that to me is just the trader lifestyle. If you think the trader lifestyle is hanging out on a yacht with girls in bikinis, you have a boyish, childish view of what reality is. Okay, taking care of your family and getting the job done, that's what it's really like. While your kids are meeting Mickey Mouse, you're locked in a room trading. That's the sexiness. But to be fair, I spent Saturday cruising the Chicago River and Lake Michigan in a 52-foot yacht. So you can do that too. But the success is not sexy. Success is a sacrifice. Yeah, real trading is lonely. Real trading is hard. Real trading is frustrating. Being a trader is a constant sacrifice. But I am passionate. Okay. And I thank you for being a prime driver of the passion. It's it's us working together. So imagine every Sunday night we download all the major all the central bank reports and government reports that occurred recently. Now, why do we do that? Because that sucks. Okay? Nobody wants to do that kind of work. So, what my strategy had been for many, many years is reward myself. So on the weekends, I would do this. And I'd literally print them out. Okay? I'd print them all out. And so imagine you got 10 reports that are 30 pages long. So I got 30 pages of economic reports to read. And it sucks. Okay? So what I would do is train myself to look forward to it. So very often it was a Saturday or Sunday morning. The sun's coming up and it's nice outside. I'd make a fresh cup of coffee. I'd get a beautiful cigar, not a cheap ass cigar, but like the cigar I smoked last was 16 years old, right? Like get yourself a nice reward. And then with my coffee and my cigar, I sit there with a highlighter, and I have multiple colors. I can just grab highlighter. Here's my backpack again from my trip to Chicago. It's all intertwined, but anyway, so like here they are. Okay. Um, and I sit there and I read and highlight things, economic reports released by the central banks or by the government from New Zealand, from Canada, from Australia, from the UK, from the ECB, from the US, sometimes Japan, sometimes China, sometimes Switzerland, whatever. Download and read them. And that was the way I made sure I did it, to reward myself psychologically. So now what do we do? I meet with a team that I cannot let down. Okay, responsibility is a driver of success, isn't it? Responsibility and accountability. And this is why a community is better, because I know on a Sunday you guys are busy. So we meet Sundays at 7 to do this together. Right? And on Sunday you're busy. There's football on TV. You got a barbecue going in the backyard. Your neighbor's cracking open a cold beer. And you say, sorry, I got to go. And they're like, well, where are you going? It's like 6:45 on a Sunday. Why don't you relax? Well, Asia is opening, and I have to prepare for a new Forex trading week. And in fact, right now, I'm going to meet with my chief economist, and we're going to download and read all the major economic reports of the week from central banks and government agencies. And we're going to read it line by line and highlight the most important things and translate it into how to trade the new week. So I have to go. I apologize. And you either can do that or you're weak. And guess who makes it in this game? Yeah. You see how unfun that is? How unsexy that is? How uncool that is? Well, you're either the best or you're not. And TRADARS is about being competitive in a competition. Our market is a competition. It's you versus the other person on the other side of your trade. If you're a bull, you're paired up with a bear. If you're a bear, you're paired up with a bull. So you have to be better. Your trades are more thoughtful. Your trades are more logical. You use data. Everything's quantitative. You're combining both fundamentals, technicals, and sentiment. You have a team of performance coaches. You have a Harvard economist on your team. And now you go out and make better decisions. Or you're just not competitive. Because everybody at TRADARS does that. Yeah.